If I have to be convinced that I've lost rights as a woman because of Donald Trump, then hear me out. Perhaps I haven't lost any rights. I know, groundbreaking. And the same people who are telling me, yes, Olivia, you have lost rights as a woman, are the same people who told me, don't vote against DEI. DEI is good for women. DEI is what helps women succeed. DEI is anti-woman, it's anti-America, and it's quite literally racist. DEI got me failed on a college course for saying that men don't belong in women's sports, and for saying that men are in fact different than women. DEI also forced me to pay $1,700 for said course in gender studies as a chemistry major. And as someone who was a chemistry major in college, a scholarship I could have applied for was the Women in STEM scholarship, which is, by the way, for women. But those scholarships are being given to men in dresses who identify as women under the guise of social justice and inclusivity to reach DEI quotas. So tell me, how is that helping women? How is that pro-woman? And what rights have I lost? Like, I'm actually waiting. And I know they're all going to say, well, it's the right to abortion, the right to kill a child. I have morals, so that's not something I'm worried about.
Today, I'm not going to talk about fairness, although it's certainly true that allowing men to compete in women's sports is deeply unfair. And I'm not going to talk about safety, although it's certainly true that allowing men into female sports teams and into their bathrooms is incredibly unsafe. I'll let others highlight those important points. I want to talk about something even more important and even more basic. It's the most basic thing of all. It's truth. You must keep men out of women's sports and out of their facilities for the simple reason that they are men. Men are not women. A man who claims he is a woman is still not a woman. So why shouldn't men play in women's sports? Because they aren't women. It isn't true. We should not allow men into women's sports for the same reason we shouldn't go around claiming that 2 + 2 = 7. It's just not true. It is a lie. The man who identifies as a woman is either deluded and confused, or he is a cross-dressing fetishist looking to play out his fantasies in public. In either case, the claim that he's making, the claim to womanhood, is not true. And compelling women to take part in this untruth is evil, perverse, and predatory. If you would use the force of law to compel young girls to use a changing room with a boy, you are yourselves predators. Transgenderism is a lie. It is, in fact, the most deranged lie that mankind has ever invented. In a free country, nobody should ever be forced to participate in a lie. As lawmakers, you have an obligation to the truth. It is a truth that I know you all recognize because every human who has ever lived on earth recognizes it, that men are men and women are women. It is that simple. And the question before you is just as simple. The question is this: will you side with the truth, a truth so basic that every toddler understands it, or will you disgrace yourselves by denying it? That is your choice to make.
Yeah, so what this woman said was spot on. Because if you have to be told and reminded that you lost your rights, then what rights did you lose? Right? Because technically, if you lost any rights, you would experience the loss of those rights. You would experience it yourself. Nobody has to come out and tell you, hey, how has it been since you lost your rights? Right? Well, what do you mean? What rights? I didn't know I even lost any. If that's what you're experiencing, then you're not losing any rights. Nobody has to tell you and remind you that you no longer have any rights. You would experience it and feel it for yourself. I mean, all of the talking points that the left had, especially during the elections, especially what they were telling me, myself, you're an immigrant. You're going to get shipped back with all of these immigrants that Donald Trump is sending back. I'm still waiting for my deportation papers. I'm still waiting for ICE. Right? I'm still waiting to get deported. When is that going to happen? They told us, black people are going back to slavery. They're going to put you back in chains. They try to use that old Joe Biden quote. They did all of that for fear-mongering, just to scare you into voting for Democrat, because none of those things that they said was going to happen actually happened. And the biggest problem that I feel like is the issue here is that what the woman was saying is how she, failed a class because she said that men shouldn't be competing in women's sports. And same thing that Matt Walsh is saying. The universities, if they don't start with the basics of the truth, basic truth, objective reality, then what's the point of going to school? That's why we call these universities nowadays indoctrination camps. You're going out there and learning something that's not even reality, right? Telling students that men can be women and women can be men, and gender studies and all this nonsense. That's why this is called an indoctrination camp. You're going out there being brainwashed at these universities. So until schools start with the bottom line of where they start their curriculum as being the truth, objective truth in reality, there's no point in the existence of universities, in my opinion. What is the point? Unless you're going out there and studying something specific like law or you're becoming a doctor, I mean, I don't think anything else is relevant, to be honest. That's just how I feel.
Donald Trump announced this past week that he would be urging ICE and other administration authorities to seek out people living here illegally that have broken the law, to deport them. So I have a quote for you here that's been making the rounds on social media about the deportation of criminal illegal aliens. "We are a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our laws, and I believe they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%, and we're going to keep focusing on threats to our security." What's your thought on that quote and that policy in general?
I think that policy comes from a place of like white American nationalism. Donald Trump has kind of like embraced this rhetoric of like racism and xenophobia that is not beneficial to our country at all.
I don't think that quote really stands true.
This administration has totally not done anything moral.
This is really awful.
Amnesty does not necessarily mean that we're losing border security. I think that Trump feels that way.
I think that's a bad decision because like the United States should be open to like immigrants. Like it's like they call it land of the free for a reason.
We just have to advocate for those kind of people and people like in Congress, like Ocasio-Cortez, who is helping people overcome these kinds of things.
Crimes do not nullify your humanity, and people are coming here in search of opportunity.
I'm going to show you the person that said that quote.
We're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers.
Is that surprising?
Yeah, a little bit.
Why is that surprising?
Because I thought it was the Trump administration that said something like that.
Yeah, it's quite surprising. I thought it was from Trump.
I didn't expect it to be Obama either.
Why did you not expect it to be Obama?
Because
Not a mom who's working hard to provide for her
I guess, I don't know, like, it never occurred to me that it could be Obama.
Is that surprising that it's a quote from President Obama?
Yeah, that was surprising for sure, yeah.
Do you think it's still a practice of white nationalism, though, to deport criminal illegal aliens?
I think the way Trump's doing it is.
Okay. But President Obama, to this point in Trump's presidency, Obama actually deported more people, though. So it's, in practice, it was more from Obama, though.
What's your question?
I'd say my understanding of Obama versus Trump is that Obama was more liberal as far as amnesty and border security. I expected that quote to come from Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows the hypocrisy in politics. So one person can say something 5 years ago, and next thing you know, it doesn't apply to them anymore, and that they can now be the morality police for whoever is in charge now.
Does that change your opinion of the practice to know that President Obama did the same thing? Actually, to this point in his presidency, deported more people than President Trump had at this point.
No. Again, I just think that there's a moral way to do it, and I don't know a ton about Obama's deportation policies, but I imagine that they were a lot more humane than the ones currently going on.
Honestly, guys, I don't think we have a race problem in this country. I don't think we have a gender problem or identity problem in this country whatsoever. I think we just have an IQ problem. It's as simple as that. We just have a certain group of people that don't know how to think critically and think independently. I mean, this woman right here couldn't even remember the question that she was asked.
Do you think it's still a practice of white nationalism, though, to deport criminal illegal aliens?
I think the way Trump's doing it is.
Okay. But President Obama, to this point in Trump's presidency, Obama actually deported more people, though. So it's, in practice, it was more from Obama, though.
What's your question?
Right? She couldn't even remember the question that she was asked. But see, the quotes that he gave them sounded bad because in their eyes, only a white person would think that way. Only a white person would say those things. That's why they automatically associated those quotes to Donald Trump. But in reality, those quotes just comes from somebody that has common sense, right? And here's the thing with these Democrats. Everything that they demonize now, they were for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, 10 years ago. You can go as far back.
I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
They were for government efficiency. They were for closing the border, shipping back illegal immigrants, just like what we experienced with Obama being the one that deported the most immigrants out of this country. So, once again, these people have been brainwashed to think that anything that might sound like it could possibly be racist comes from Republicans, comes from Donald Trump. When in reality, once again, these ideas are just common sense. Common sense. Letting people into this country, allowing them to come in unvetted and giving them amnesty is a threat to national and border security, because what you're telling people now is that just make it to the border. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just get here, cross the border, however way you cross it, and then eventually you'll get amnesty. Well, what's the point of having borders if that's the case? What's the point? You'll just let anybody and everybody into this country. And the whole argument about, well, this country was built on immigrants. No, this country was not built on immigrants. It was built on legal immigrants. It was built on settlers that came into this country, but it wasn't built on illegal immigration. That's just not how that worked. You can't associate settlers and being conquered as illegal immigration. It's not the same thing. That's just how I see it. It's not the same thing at all. But for some reason, these people tend to conflate illegal immigration and how this country was founded to be the same exact thing, which is just absolutely crazy to me, in my opinion. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Hit the like button down below. And of course, if you are brand new, consider subscribing. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.